Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next. If there are extraneous sounds, that is because of an environment I cannot control, but I will try my best in post. And yeah, I have finished one thing. I'm in the middle of this, and I wish I was further in this, but life is happening because it's the end of semester crunch. Because basically, this upcoming week is American Thanksgiving, so I still need to prepare my lecture for the following week, but my in-laws are in town, and I want to do holiday things and not have to worry about working, so I'm trying to do 2 weeks worth of work in 1 week and end the semester strong. We'll see, but that's eaten up a lot of my free time. But I have accomplished some things. So I inadvertently just read 2 nominees off the Goodreads Choice Awards this past week. That's what I chose to do. It wasn't really intentional. I could pretend. It wasn't. My friends wanted to read Mate. We all had Mate. And I'm like, I liked Bride but didn't love it. Let's try Mate. And I do think it's really interesting how these are different for me from her contemporary romance. They remind me more of the Side Changeling series, if you've ever read that, by Nalini Singh, where it is a paranormal, well-lived-in world, maybe similar to urban fantasy sort of thing. And this world has vampires and werewolves and humans, and they are all distinct species. And because of events in the first book, we now have our love interest set up for the second book. And I don't think it's a big spoiler, but I'm just gonna be vague about it and just say that our main character, has a mate who's an alpha, and for reasons, he's like, yeah, but it's just biological, don't worry about it. And then their story goes from there. And of course, they're gonna fall in love, there's gonna be trials and tribulations. And I think I generally really enjoyed the plot stuff, just like I did in Bride. When I read Bride, I enjoyed the world building and the plot and how lived in the world felt in a cozy way, kind of like Charmed or something like that. But the romance itself didn't really work for me, and I couldn't figure out why. Because I've read only one perspective contemporary romance by Ali Hazelwood, and I've liked them. This year, I think this is my 3rd Ali Hazelwood this year, because I read Deep End and Problematic Summer Romance. I think those are both ones I read this year. And Deep End's my favorite, but I really also enjoyed Problematic Summer Romance. Both of those are 4.5 stars. This one's more of a 4-star. And I think it's because, when we get the spicy scenes, they just don't work for me for some reason in this world. And I also then, if those don't work for me, some of the main characters, neuroses, irk me. It's just yeah, I get it. You feel like a burden. No one's ever loved you, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It just wasn't that exciting for me in terms of an emotional journey, and I didn't really have the payoff from the physical journey. The world building's still cool, though. And I do think both of the books, Bride and this, I wish was a true, dual POV. I think that's what I really want, but I don't have. And I do believe Side Changeling, you typically do get dual POV, but maybe I'm misremembering that because I haven't read one of those since 2022. But I read this and I liked it. It was a good time. At the beginning, I was like, oh man, this is going to be so good. Because I kind of do like the trope of the guy being in denial about his feelings for the love interest. I do kind of really like that, and that is how we start. And I do like how she starts to get out of her denial about his feelings for him, and I do like the cozy found family that comes with werewolves that you typically have. But like I said, the actual commitment to the sex scenes just somehow didn't click for me, and that's just super personal taste. I'm not as surprised as I was with Bride, because I'm not a fan fiction person, so a lot of the things that are super babies first, werewolf story, I was unprepared for, and I was like, wait, what is happening here? Is this biologically relevant? What is going on? It's very normal in fan fiction spaces, less so for what I have consumed. So I wasn't surprised by that, but if you didn't like that in the first book, it is a lot more in this one. So yeah, if she writes another book in this world, I'd probably pick it up. But I do just think this is only a 4-star time for me versus 4.5, which I think for romances, I'm usually trying to get closer to that 4.5 or 5-star on my romance rating scale, which is just unputdownable. Everything's so great. which is such a high bar, but like that's what I want romances to be for me. And then the other one that I've been reading, and I don't think I'll be holding her for this long, but this is The Strength of the Few. And I am 117 pages in, which is not nothing. It is not nothing. It's just that, this book is, how long is this book? 700 some odd pages. So I'm in the middle of this. Here's a picture, because like I said, I'm not holding it. And I really do want to read more of it. I do really like the narrative framework, which is hard to talk about. But one thing I do want to ramble about a little bit is I know that this is marketed towards fantasy people, feels like a fantasy series, but is it? I don't know. I guess it kind of is. It's one of those sci-fantasies for me. I don't think it needs to be put in a box, but there's actually a lot of trappings to it that make me think more like I'm reading a sci-fi series sometimes. I still don't like the proper nouns or names. I think someone mentioned that sometimes they're not even Roman names, they're just Latin words, which is even worse for me because my least favorite part about teaching human biology are the Latin words. I'm not good at it. Like, speaking Spanish, yes. Speaking Latin, no. Like, that's not good at that. So I'm still having issues with that in terms of the, aesthetics of the world building. But I do think it's a real good it feels familiar. It's yeah, this is a chonky, epic, fantasy adventure story thing. And it's got an interesting world building, magic sort of thing going on where it's it has rules, but it doesn't have rules and we don't know all the rules, which I think is a good gray space and feels very modern fantasy, something that has structure, but we don't know what's structured about it. And we have a sense of the plausibility of it all. And in this book, the stakes are elevated. And if you've read the end of the first book, you kind of know why. First book is very individual character stakes. This is trying to somehow make it in a world where everyone has to be under someone, and he doesn't want to be a part of the hierarchy, in any way. Because he was raised, privileged on an island that not an island. Was it an island? I sometimes, in my head, I think it's, an island. But I want to think of it as a planet. Which I know doesn't make sense. But his family owned some land, and then they did get conquered by this empire and the hierarchy. And for reasons at the end of the first book, the stakes get changed. They get opened up a lot. And I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm excited where we get to explore with that, not only in terms of the world and answering questions, but Vis's character as well. Because I think in the first book, he was fine. He was a perfectly serviceable individual to look through this world with. He's kind of got a lot of reluctant hero syndrome going on here. So if you like the reluctant hero trope, we haven't had one like this in a minute. He's also a try-hard. So try-hard, reluctant hero, all put together there. And so yeah, he's kind of trying to figure things out right now because things are confusing for him. For reasons. And I do like that the book really picks up right where the first one ends off. The first one ends off probably in one of the most memorable cliffhangers we've had as a fantasy book reading community in a long time. And I do think if we were comparing this to TV, the first episode of the first season, we're doing okay in the second season. The first episode of the second season. That's what I meant. We came back from the break. And I think at least the first 100 pages, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling motivated. I want to read it. Time. And I think another issue is that somehow I've paid for the audiobook. I was luckily gifted this gorgeous edition of the hardcover. I don't own the ebook. And it feels excessive for a book that I like, but don't necessarily love as my new personality, to buy the ebook of this, and the hold list is very long at the library. But I just think when you buy a version of the book, you should have the ebook. I bought the audiobook. Why can't I have the digital PDF? Why? I know, preaching to the choir. I know it's capitalism. I already got annoyed at capitalism earlier today because I looked at a medical bill and it was a fine medical bill. Totally can pay for it. But also it enraged me. Enraged me. If I wasn't already radicalized. So I'm reading that. That's probably honestly going to be one of my big priorities for the rest of the month. Another book I want to pick up because I want to finish this book. Ideally this month, but it's one of the things where I want to finish it before I start compiling end of the year content. and that is Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer. It is the last book that I'm going to read in the Area X series. It is the longest one, which does not bode well for me. So I'm hoping to switch this to being like an audio immersion time. And then Absolution I do have on Kindle, although I typically do that with audio and like maybe switching between the two. We have a lot of yard work to do this upcoming weekend, so that's a good time to get a bunch done. And then what I wanted to do is I need another fun book. And I don't know what I want to read right now. I got a bunch of stuff on my Kindle. I got a bunch of stuff on my TBR. And what I've been doing on Instagram lately, and I'll do it with you guys here, is I have been using my Rook and the Rose Pattern Master deck. These are based off the Mask in the Mirror series that you see off screen over here. They are stunning. I got them in a Kickstarter. They bring me so much joy. And I figure I will pick one, interpret what it means, and that will be one of the last books that maybe I attempt to read by the end of the month, because realistically, Strength of a Few's big, Absolution's big, max one other book. And I'll try to use it within the frame, you know, of what I have on my physical TBR and on my Kindle right now. So let us pick a card. I'm just gonna cut the deck. We'll just pick a top card here. And this one is called Dawn and Dusk. You know, I'm already starting to think what I think I might do for this, but let me look in the book for what it is, and then I'll show you the beautiful card. Oh, this is a very pretty picture. All the art, really stunning. And they still have copies to sell, like if you go to their backer kit. If I remember, no promises, I'll leave a link down below, because I know my friend Roger just bought a deck because he's like, those are so pretty. And I'm like, you're right. All right, so Dawn and Dusk, generally, it's this card here, and you can kind of tell it means travel. It has a good connotation and a bad connotation. That's how all these cards work. And so there's beneficial journeys, going elsewhere, time to leave. And then the negative is the journey will end badly. Do not depart yet. And like, I do think the Amber Spyglass works perfect for this, having read the book. Because I was struggling because I don't really have a lot of travel stories. But if there's any book where we are traveling, and there is both positive and negative connotation to the travel, it's going to be the Amber Spyglass, which was also on my TBR. I just wasn't sure if it was going to get me to go off script to pick up something else on my TBR. So yeah, I want to finish 2 of the series I started this year. I want to catch up on Strength of the Few. We got a bunch of tomes. And so yeah, November is a really high density reading month. I don't know. I'm reading a lot of thick books, which feels good. But it also feels like I don't read a lot. It's interesting. I'm having a good month, though. I'm not mad about it. So yeah, an Amber Spyglass. It's also going to be cozy during the holidays next week. I won't feel super stressed if I can't get to it. Only downside is I don't have a Kindle for it because I'm reading the UK version, and you can't get the UK ebook here in the United States. So, is what it is. And there are differences, so it does matter. Not like huge differences, but the whole point of me reading it this time, the UK version, is to see the differences. And yeah, otherwise, we watched Frankenstein last weekend. I liked it. I didn't love it. I see why the reviews are mixed. It's very pretty. I've been watching sitcoms to escape from the stress and work on my knitting projects. And I got new yarn for a color work knitting project that I'm really excited to start. But I need to work on my current sweater because I had to like go backwards and fix it for things. It's whatever. That's under the bridge. I'm reworking a sleeve. I'm reworking the torso. I haven't started the other sleeve, so I should work on that sweater more. But I want to do the color work sweater. But it's fingering yarn, so I really should just like, I can hold off because that sweater's going to take me a minute. But that's it for this video. If you just want to leave me an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a wolf for mate. And otherwise, like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.